So this will be Monday's work. So that is a card. A card is an actual task that you will be completing, which sits on the list, which then also sits on the larger board in progress. So that is just a simplistic view of how we would look at this. So Trello is a project management or workflow management system, and one of the things that it's used for is obviously create a visual aspect to your workflow or work diagram. So if we have a look at here, you can go to Trello.com and you need to sign up for an account. We're only going to be looking at setting up personal boards, and I'll touch on a little bit of creating a team board as well. So here is the Trello main screen. It normally starts on the home screen. And in this particular example, I'm going to show you how to set up the basic things of your Trello board. So we're going to start with our little setup board here, which we just by creating a new board. And I'm just going to orientate you a bit around Trello. You can also load Trello as an app on your phone. So it is web-based, it is free for personal boards and up to 10 boards for business, which is a real great help. So just to orientate, we've got a menu button over here and the name of your board over here, which you can call anything you like. And then the first place we need to stop is at our menu. I'm going to click on here and you'll see more about this board, what it can do and how it works. So the first thing we need to look at is changing the background. It might not seem important, but it is a very important tool because it helps you identify boards that are important to you when we're looking up on a list. The list over here will give you an indication of all the boards you have and what their pictures look like. So you can associate a picture of the board, as many of us are very visual. And then the first thing we're going to do in our board is just check our settings. So our settings are important. Card covers, we'll get to later. It enables us to have pictures on the board. And labels. So labels are about how you're going to organize your data. It allocates colors, and you can give these labels actual names as well. So we'll get deeper into that a little bit more. So the first thing we need to do is to plan our project or workflow. I'm just going to create a simple, very simple to-do list. So I would add a list first. So I'm going to say our first thing is to do, and add list. The next thing is maybe your in progress. And I always need a follow up. And then we move to completion. So Trello uses lists and cards, and the whole thing sits on a board. So just that when I talk about a list, we're referring to this. When I talk about a card, you'll see we add cards here. So this will be Monday's work. So that is a card. A card is an actual task that you will be completing, which sits on the list, which then also sits on the larger board in progress. So that is just a simplistic view of how we would look at this. We've got this would be our process, as we would call it. So it's important when you're planning your board, you could implement this in many ways. Good examples are sales processes. So you could have quote, maybe then you need to send a contract, and then you need to generate an invoice, and then it goes into production and completion. So there's lots of variables for this where you can implement it throughout your business. So your cards are basically a task that you need to do, or a simplistic view, an overall view of what you need to do or to achieve. So this would be similar to an Outlook task list where you'd add all the things you need to do today. So let's see, collect laundry in progress, or maybe to follow up. And I'm going to say in progress, training manuals to email. So there we've got a very basic list to start off with, and you can see the steps that which need to be followed in order to get to completion. So it's as simple as dragging it to follow up or dragging it to complete. So this is a great way for you to see how things are going and where you are in the in the process of this. So this board's looking a bit bleak. We might want to add some color, and that's what we're going to look at next. Many people are visual, and that is the whole secret to Trello, is to create a visual representation of your project. So you can immediately see what is outstanding and what still needs to be done and where you are at all the time. Many business people battle with managing and juggling all the various aspects of their lives, as well as business, who's doing what, where, when, and how. So the first and most important thing to do is obviously to plan your project or your steps or lists and the workflow and how it's going to be handled for you. So we're going to go back to our menu that I discussed in the very beginning, where we can now start personalizing. We've got a background, which I'm quite happy with. And we have got, let's use some labels to color things up. So we can give our labels a name, which I'm going to do here now, new project. Let me save it. Let's say urgent and completed. Right, so we've given our labels names and colors. It's important to note these are the default labels that have been created by the system, and we'll get to why this is important later. However, if we keep it in this order, this has actually got a numerical order, 1 through to 6. So this would be 1, that would be 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. That just makes it easier for referencing later. So I'm going to go to my Monday work, and I'll see, okay, I need to plan this as a new project. I can now add labels to this, add pictures to this, and add any information that I feel is important for my particular event or task. So I'm just going to label this by right-clicking, edit labels. I'm going to say this is a new project and save. So now we have a new project. Now I know that's green. Collect laundry, it's probably urgent. And training manuals completed. So as you see, we're beginning to get more and more information on a visual way on your list. So immediately I can see what's important by looking at the red, or what is being completed and processed in blue, and what is new projects. That's just a simplistic way to look at the labeling and just adding some color to your Trello board. All right, so now on our Trello board, it's very important to customize this for you, because obviously the more visual or the more things it triggers, the easier it is you're going to be remembering things, and then you'll be able to get through these tasks, and it'll be something that you look forward to. It's very important when doing task management and project management that as much information is available for you all the time. So I'm going to look at this Monday work, and I'm going to say, okay, well, I would actually like a cover for this to give it a little bit more of importance. So I can set the size of my cover You can either completely color the card or just give it a heading. So I'm going to choose a heading. I'm going to make this blue. Not because it's Blue Monday, but just because it's blue. And I'm going to say here, okay, completion, that's always a good thing, something to tick off. And I'm going to say, right, we're going to do our cover here. And this card I'm going to make fully completed. So you see the difference in how your cards look on the board. So we've looked at boards. This is a board. We've looked at our lists. We've looked at our cards. And so we're going to move over into a little bit more detail.
Hi, Jasper Basson here. I just wanted to remind you about the Daily Entrepreneur Tips series. It's a business growth series for entrepreneurs and contains financial information and also information to grow you as a person and your business, because we will never grow our business any higher than we grow ourselves. So click on the link below and I will send you daily information to grow you as a person and your business, and it's for 365 days of the year.
You'll see in Trello, you've got an option to take this a little bit deeper. These are our main tasks. So these are ideas. And now we can go deeper into what we want to make a note about. So a description here is about what this is about. So Monday work is all the projects that need planning for the week. So it gives a description of the card, so you're able to see immediately what this card is about. Remember, Trello looks at sharing information with people. So when we share information, we need to give as much detail and communicate as much as possible so that people have insight into what is expected of them and to give you correct feedback. So I've added a description there. You'll see we've got some extra things here. One thing that's really, really great is checklists. So on Monday, we can create a checklist that needs to happen maybe every Monday, or it can be a checklist for anything. So I'm just going to call this Monday's checklist. And we can add. And now it actually asks you to add items. So I can say collect mail, set up meetings, create catalog, and now we have a checklist of things that need to be completed. I'm going to close this for a moment and you'll see that this card has also changed. It's now got a little checkbox indicating the number of tasks that are still outstanding. So I've created 3 tasks and none have been completed. So when we're sharing this with a team, it's important to note and also great to see what has been completed. So we can see we're at 67%, we can see 2 of 3 were completed. So as this card moves to in progress, we're able to see exactly what has been done. Again, a very good way of creating that communication with other team members of what has been completed already, so we don't duplicate any work. And also for ourselves, I personally work with lots of checklists, and it's great, especially if you've loaded this on your mobile device. You're able to then quickly add a list on the go, or add things on the weekend, or whenever you have a moment that you remember something, and it helps you not forget about things. Once we tick something complete, this goes to green, and you'll notice that this card gets marked in green. So this is great to now know, okay, those tasks are completed, and we could move it into the complete list. So that is, I'm going to take this one back. That is just an example of how we would use checklists. And the very, very important thing that we all are probably very used to is due dates. So Trello is able to set up due dates for individual cards, which is great. So anything running on deadlines, and you can sort by these deadlines. You are able to choose a reminder. The maximum is 2 days before an actual event. So I'm going to set this for Friday the 28th at 1:30 p.m. You can just type your time in here. And choose save. This now creates a due date. As you get closer and closer to the due date, it does change color, being yellow and I think red if it's overdue, and it indicates overdue. Again, our card has been updated, so we were able to see exactly when this is due. At the top of all your lists, you're able to see this is ellipsis dots. You can click on them and you can sort your list accordingly. So this is very, very important when you have lots of tasks. Let's just create another one so I can show you how that works. Let's give this a due date in the past. As you'll see, that's a great visual indicator that something is running behind schedule. So here we're able to now sort our cards, sort by either due date, alphabetically, or the date you've created, oldest or newest. So if I want to sort by due date, you'll see it's sorting this whole list by things and the dates that are due in that order. So I know what to work on first. So let's move this to in progress. When I check this as completed, it also marks it as green. So that's very helpful. Again, a visual reminder of the actual task has been completed or not. You'll also see here activity. So what Trello does is as you make changes to a card, whether you move it or delete it or make changes in the comments, you will see how it tracks all this information, which is great information for you, especially as a business owner. If you're sharing this with your team, you'll be able to see exactly who worked on it, when, what, and how, and what they updated. This is very important information. Okay. Something else that we can look up in Trello is if we want to move this around, we can also do that. No problem. So this is really flexible for you and your team. Maybe you will need to see things that are in progress in a certain way. So I've moved that to that particular at the end, so I can see what is in progress, and the completion things I'm not too worried about. So this is a great way to move your data and see at a glance how things are progressing. Okay, let's just take a little bit deeper into this now. So if we look at the options on the side of our card, we've got members. Members are, once you've got a team, you're able to assign a card to members or add members to an actual board as well as to a specific card. So this is great for assigning tasks to members. Our labels we discussed earlier is where we can label things based on your preference to help you identify things quickly. And then we've got our due date, excuse me, and we have attachment. Attachment is, again, helping you collaborate and add information to your Trello cards and lists. So attachments are used to, if you have a document or something that you need to include in that task. So maybe we've got something here, add an attachment. So what we have here is a list of things where we can attach from your local computer, from Google Drive itself, and from Dropbox, OneDrive, and we can attach external links. If we have a look here in our system, we've seen how the Trello board is being populated slowly. Something that's very, very great tool to use is in our show menu. We can go back and look at our email to board settings. We can actually email tasks to our board. When this happens, we can generate this task by just sending a simple email to this very long address, but we're going to give this an example. And we can choose, this is an important part of the settings, is where it must appear. So I'm going to say, I'm going to add another list and call this ideas. I'm going to put it second. And I'm going to say that when I email to my board, I want it to go to ideas, and it must be at the top. Now that that setting is saved, let me give you an example of that. So I'm going to take just a test message, bring it over just so you can have a look. I'm going to forward this message to that long address. There it is, popped up automatically. This is a very, very powerful tool because I know how everybody's on the go and busy and things happen and we need to get these things into Trello. Instead of logging into the system, recording something, making a note, we can get away with just adding that information by forwarding it to that email. I normally save it as to-do list board or sales board, etc., so that it can go to the correct board. What you may have noticed here is that the labels for someone new and using the system, so if you've got a team member using the system, they may not know what these labels actually mean. And in order to do that, they'd have to go and check what the labels mean on the show menu, go to our labels and say, oh, this is urgent. But there's a quicker way to do that. You can just click once on the label and it actually expands the label so you can, again, visually see at any time where we are with the project or what that particular label means. All right. So something we can also do is when we look at this, it can become overwhelming. Obviously, your Trello board gets full as you add ideas, projects, and things to do and tasks, but we're able to search for things in this board. So anything that needs to be, let's just say work, and it shows me all the boards that have the word work, and it goes onto your other boards also. This is a great tool to see what all you have in that particular arena. So what all is related to that task. The plugin that most people use is the calendar plugin. This allows you to see your whole view of your Trello board in a date calendar scenario. So I'm going to add that power up and I'm going to say calendar and add. Okay, it's now loaded the calendar power up. Let's have a look. And you'll see immediately now the calendar button is available. If I click on calendar view, I'm able to see my work plan for in a month view or a week view, depends on what you want to see. But that's really great for planning. I'll just switch over to one of the boards that I created. The way I suggest that you can look and link information is the ultimate or all-in-one productivity board. This is one that I use, is basically to create lists for ideas and notes for things as they come to you, current projects or projects that you wish to start, today's tasks being things obviously that you need to complete today, follow-ups. This would normally be imminent follow-ups, so it wouldn't be something in the future. There we would use our future tasks. Waiting for information. So often we do things that we request information or we need to do something first or get other information in before we go further. So we can add an extra waiting for information list where we can move things. So you get to see how your board can show you exactly where you are in every step of the way, and obviously when it comes to completion.